Hi, I'm Paul Warren,
And I'm Ryan Klein.
and this is the 100th episode of SEO's Dead and Other Lives.
Wow, great intro.
It's been a long time coming, getting to 100 episodes.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around. We finally made it.
I think it's been over since 2017 we started.
It's either 17 or 18, but it's right in and around that time.
And we just now got to 100 episodes.
Well, when we decided to resume this, it was like, what were we, 87, 88? We have to cross.
It's hard to come up with a new topic for SEO every week.
But is it?
That's why we don't.
But it's so wild out there. Something new happening every day. How can we not come up with a topic every week?
Anyways, so this is going to be a great episode where we're just going to BS about our history and working in SEO. Probably complain about a lot of stuff.
Why don't you tell the audience what makes this episode extra special right now?
We're together here in person in Chicago, which normally is never the case. And, I'm living in a different state than Ryan, so we're just recording remotely. But
we're sitting at the same table. I'm looking at you right now.
Same table. It's amazing. And we're in a great city. We're in Chicago. And we're going to have a few guests on that don't do SEO, but they're going to talk about how SEO affects their lives, I guess.
Now, there are people associated with the organization that are here for some networking, some FaceTime, and none of which are in SEO. So this will probably be, I believe, in two parts. It'll be our, some of our reminiscing, some of our reflection in the first part. And the second part, you'll hear other people's nightmares for SEO by being proximate to SEOs this whole time.
I guess we can really talk about how it's changed the course of both of our lives. It really has.
Well, look at what it's done here. I mean, think about, Matt, you were working in-house at a law firm, and I was not.
And yeah, I mean, look at where we're standing. We're right here in this room because of SEO.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not for a love of UCF football.
No. Not
because of just being in Central Florida.
Those are all pluses.
The first one was.
Yeah. You're not here. I mean, you're not in Central Florida anymore, but I don't think you definitely lived there for a few years.
Well, I mean, went to school and then I worked there for a bit. So I lived in Orlando for 12, 13 years altogether.
In Fort Lauderdale for a little bit, though.
No, but like a year and a half.
You were there for that law firm down there?
Yeah. I mean, that was a commute from Fort Lauderdale to Parkland, Florida, and that kind of sucked. So that didn't last too long. That was the first time that I pushed it on remote ever, was 8 years ago. No, maybe even 9 years ago.
Before anyone else.
Yeah, I was like, working remote is awesome because going to the office every single day. Actually, I was the first hybrid worker in the whole world. I'm just joking. No, I used to go in the office like twice a week.
Yeah.
But I said it voluntarily. I didn't know it was hybrid. I was just like, some days I'll be in the office, some days I won't be in the office.
I feel like doing SEO now is mostly hybrid or remote. Especially, once the pandemic happened and it became very obvious that you didn't need to go anywhere to do this. I think that's what took over, and that's the expectation now.
That's an interesting concept, especially with SEO, since we do have like the hybrid, the office in Charlotte.
Yeah. And
I think that it can be very hands-on, very shadow, looking over the shoulder, kind of seeing how you do things. And sometimes the screen share doesn't do it all. But yeah, there has been that shift. And
well, let's go back. Let's go way back to when we first started down this road, down this journey of doing SEO.
Okay.
So I can start with how I know how I started. Of course, I would know that because it's my story. But I was redesigning. I wasn't even redesigning. I was moving content from websites that didn't have a CMS to a CMS. So it was a copy and pasting content.
Oh, that's awesome. That's an excellent first job.
Yeah, it was amazing. So I was building out these websites in Drupal. Did education marketing, and then I was like, "Oh, you have to make the URLs the same." And then it was
like exactly the same URL.
Yeah, and then it was like, "Oh, you got to put the meta descriptions in." I was like, "What's a meta description?" I was like,
and you're like, "That's so meta, it's so Facebook."
The page title. Yeah, I started doing all that.
Yeah,
and then that's how I started. I guess
that was like your first task. That's your first memory of executing an SEO task.
Yes,
I remember mine too.
So, what was your?
Well, I was interning at a SEO agency in Central Florida, more specifically Castleberry. And as an intern, they stuck me in a room that wasn't quite a closet, but it was a very small, dimly lit office. And then I had one desk. It was mine facing the wall. And then behind me was their sales guy facing the other wall. And he was doing God knows what on that side. and they gave me an Excel spreadsheet, and they're like, okay, we're re-optimizing this hunting supply website for like e-commerce, and they just gave me like all the list of all like the titles and explain what it was, and they're like, okay, write unique descriptions for every single page. And I just sat there with no knowledge of hunting gear whatsoever, and they're like, you want like a rifle scope that's really going to hone in on that doe's ass.
Did you at least learn a lot about hunting gear during the process?
Yeah, well, that I always think that's like an amazing byproduct of SEO is that like you have to understand like the product or service somewhat, or else how do you optimize or do call to action and all that stuff.
Yeah, you do get to learn a lot about the different industries that you have to work in,
like dental, like the endodontist versus the periodontist,
or like forex trading, or rehab. Learn a lot about rehab and all the different issues you can have with drugs.
Yeah, you get to be like a micro expert in something. So maybe for everything negative we have to say, there's always going to be a positive. Like learning so many like super specific random things.
Yeah, I think I remember being simpler in a way than what it is now, because frankly I think it was simpler.
Yeah, just go in Black Hat World and order a package that has the best infographic.
Well, no, even before that, like Google used to tell you in analytics. So analytics used to be a tool that you wanted to use, unlike today, but it would tell you the exact keyword people search to come to your website.
I had about 3 months of that.
Yeah, I didn't have
not provided happen.
Less than a year of it.
That's basically where you like. Well, people like to say some SEO, especially legacy SEOs, like were you pre or post this? Like some people are like, were you pre or post, keyword cloaking or like porn links? And so like for us, I guess it was like analytics transparency.
I feel like everyone always pointed to the Florida update, which was like this update that I think screwed over like real estate websites or something.
Nice.
And that's what I call the Florida update.
Because all the real estate that was happening was in Florida at the time.
That was like before I started doing it though. That was like pre my job. But
I do not know
it was this major update, and it like wrecked like all these websites. So I think it was like one of the first major like changes, and people.
It was like the hurricane of algorithm updates.
It just destroyed. I remember my boss at the time talking about it, and he was like, well, we had all these people that were relying on these leads coming in to make a living, and guess what? They're not coming in anymore, so they're out of a job.
Man, you don't get to see like those algorithm updates too often. They're like, oh, I'm out of job now. I mean, they've happened throughout history. I know the most recent one, among the bigger ones, like in March, where people were scaling like a ton of websites to like pure AI content, they got wiped out. Like, yeah, people have probably lost like some income from that kind of stuff.
I think there were a lot of websites this last time. I guess that was almost a year ago now, the major one that happened, right?
Well, yeah, there was a couple. I mean, there was a major update like last August, September.
Yeah,
for sure. And then, another wave with March with like, PBNs and certain linking and AI content. Sure.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more of like the spam and like e-seller sites that, it wasn't destroying an entire industry, like a bunch of people that didn't work on the internet, basically. Like these were, for the Florida update, I remember it was like the real estate agents that were relying on the leads to make sales, right? And like that, it was just like gone, and there's no other way for them to get it. And so,
yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, so a non-SEO related role was destroyed, or like they lost all this income, and then had no idea why. And they're just like, "What's wrong with the website?"
I thought it could just be like this landing page on GeoCities.
Man, I do. I kind of miss like how easy it was back then. Though it was really easy to rank things.
Yeah, I think now in retrospect, if I actually struggled with any rankings, I was just doing a bad job. And nowadays, it's like,
ooh,
oh my god, I rolled the dice and
you're doing a good job.
Came up boxcars, thank God. So yeah, I mean, we were talking about some of that paradoxical stuff last week, a few weeks ago, right?
The paradoxes of SEO.
Yeah, there's quite a few, and but like some people, I mean, it's more ruthless. There's a lot more in negative SEO. There's a lot more hacking. There's a lot more, people going out, and if you're in the crosshairs, they could like truly mess with your website.
Yeah, I feel like there's way less celebrities now in the industry. Like there was like mainstream celebrities, and then there was like the black hat celebrities, right?
Well, have you ever gone to like if you went on TikTok right now, would there be people like actually like really talking eloquently about SEO.
Like, are there
I don't
SEO celebrities on TikTok? I have no idea. No, I don't.
They're probably
TikTok, but they
I
probably.
don't know if we're aging myself, but like
There
I
might
do
be.
not want to go on TikTok.
I don't want to either. I don't want to know what's on there. I prefer the app that the NSA owns, not the Chinese government.
I prefer getting my information from a newspaper.
Whoa. Hey, I actually have a newspaper subscription.
Nice.
I'm probably like the first new subscription in like my town in like 15 years.
Well, you just like doing Sudoku.
Yeah, I like that. And I just like having the print. You know, it's nice. It feels good to get it.
You know, you put it in a pile, it composts.
But man, yeah. So we've come a long way because it's been 15. I think we both been working about 15 years in the industry.
13 for me.
Yeah,
13
I
after.
think I'm at 14. So
Okay.
yeah, so pretty much the same amount of time. But it has just been a freaking wild ride. I think the hardest thing about it is at some point in your career, especially if it spans this long in marketing, there's a lot of periods of you're burnout and you just don't want to do it anymore. And then you have something happens and then you find like some inspiration and then you're like, oh, okay, you know, like I'm excited about it.
What's going to be invigorating? Well, typically, either has to. It's almost always, at least for me, to be like some sort of exploit.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, like
It's something
this
cool.
thing worked. That's like, let's do it times a million now. Like, that's always stuff that kind of gets me jazzed up. But it's just a matter. Those opportunities sometimes are far and few between.
It was, yeah, I guess like the excitement of doing something that you technically weren't supposed to be doing, and then other people just didn't know how to do it, and then so it was like, oh, it's like a super secret Squirrel Club SEO stuff, you know. You're like, oh, and it was kind of exciting. There are way less things though out there that I regularly see that give me that little excitement. Like it's pretty rare that I see something like super black hat like that. And I'm like, oh my god.
Well, like, you know, if we could figure out how to exploit generative AI and do like some really funky stuff with some assets that you didn't know were possible, that would be sweet.
Yeah, maybe I'm just being lazy and there's something awesome out there.
Yeah, someone else will take it away from you.
I need to do that. I just need another Becker, another bot leader.
There's got to be a way that's like you're doing some like weird manipulative stuff on the website, and then like you do a search, and then generative AI is like, according to this website, I suck, and like AI is a waste of time. Like it's foul.
I was talking to someone last night about search, and he was like, "Oh, do you also optimize for like voice search?" And I was like, "Not really, because it's such a small amount of people that do a voice search, you know, or like through like Alexa or something like that."
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, but you think it's like growing?" And I was like, "Not really."
Well, with the AI, I mean, it's just gonna kind of be or take on or just be the same thing.
And he was like, "I always do like a voice search, like always ask it like Siri or whatever." And I was like, "All right, well, I think the results are still kind of going to be the same depending on what thing it's searching from. It's just reading off to you what the results are." But
yeah, it's much more annoying. It's like result number 1.
Yeah, but the thing is, and the reason why I know voice search won't be more popular, and it's like right now you can call someone on your phone and talk to them, or you can text them. Which one are you going to do?
Well, I don't know. It depends. I mean,
you text way more than what you call someone, right?
Well, that's for sure. I mean, there is going to be like a generational shifts with like Gen Z and then Alpha or whatever the hell is going on there. I mean, no one's going to call anymore. It's we all text and AI and intuitive and all that. Part of me is like, oh, cool. Like, how do we kind of prep for that? And then another part's like, well, that's like in 5 years. I don't know what the hell's going to happen in SEO. You can't plan for 5 years from now.
Google might be gone by then. I don't know.
Yeah, Gaggle.
They're not really doing a great job. I mean, I think they're still making lots of money, obviously, and making lots of profit, but people kind of hate the products. Like, people hate Google. And when I was younger, Google was like the gold standard of the place that you could work. You know, it was supposed to be like they made that stupid movie been working there.
Yeah, the internship. Yeah, the intern was like Robert De Niro or something.
The internship,
and then that one's with the Owen Wilson and Vaughn.
Or they're old people that work. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure Google just like paid for that whole movie to be made, anyways.
Like, we're cool.
Yeah,
like we definitely have nap pods.
Yeah, you just have to live here. You got to work. 20-hour day.
I think it was a way for them to demonstrate that they had pleasant working conditions, and instead of getting.
I don't think they do.
You saw the movie. That's what Google is.
Yeah, I know they showed all that, but I also like don't want to be that involved in where I work.
Well, they want to like live there.
yeah, like it just is like too much. You know, it's like it just like becomes your life. It seemed like.
Yeah, it's like that. The other side of that, what was it? It was a terrible book and even worse movie that they got the point across. It's called like The Circle.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's terrible.
I didn't read the book. I did see the movie, and it was terrible.
Well, the book was maybe worse.
A rare Tom Hanks miss.
Tom Hanks loves Dave Eggers, like the guy that wrote the book.
Yeah.
He's like obsessed with him, and it's like that's unfortunate because like that work sucks.
Oh yeah, sorry.
In my opinion. But I've read the Hologram for a King, and both are very extremely disappointing, boring books.
I did like the movie The Hologram for a King.
Oh, I did not know that. Was in Tom Hanks was
Yeah, see it? Did you see?
I love this work. Same author. Yeah.
Yeah, I did like that movie though. It was all right. Yeah, but I think people just sort of hate Google now, and I think they hate that they just become only a profit oriented company. And before they would just do cool stuff just to do it, and it would lose money.
Like send you like, in the mail those cards. It's like $250 credit for Google ads.
Yeah,
and all that. I remember you could like reuse those cards.
Yeah, I do. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
just like here's some free stuff.
I remember, yeah, actually, because we're gonna bounce around a lot. If you all know that,
I'm not sure anyone's gonna enjoy this.
It's okay. It's gonna be piecemeal, and also we said we'll have a couple drinks.
Yeah,
maybe a few more. Maybe we will.
Yeah,
maybe we did
a few. A dozen.
And I think it took kind of a while before like they had like the disclaimer. It's like one time use only for like new customers, because I'm pretty sure, and people might dispute this, but I'm pretty sure for a bit they kind of like just kept on adding them.
Yeah, you just kept getting them in the mail from other.
They just kept on adding it, and it'd be like, oh, another 200. Because I remember clients like sending me emails or like mailing the card to our office and be like, can you put this in the account? And it's like, oh, like you can just do it. But okay.
I mean, that was pretty irresponsible of them to do that, but yeah, they did do that.
Yeah, I used it like for my own account. Oh, I would like set up new accounts and just like, what did you have to do? Like add $50, but you'd get 200.
Yeah.
So you just like create new accounts over and over again. I think in-house at Umansky, I think
you were doing that there.
I think I created 8 or 10 different accounts.
Yeah.
And just like burn through like an extremely poorly optimized account. But then it'd be like, oh, we got like a couple of things.
But it was like nothing. Yeah.
But then, the clicks were $10, so it didn't matter.
That's really cheap compared to now.
Yeah, that's depressing. It must suck to do PPC.
Yeah, but there was a lot of great stuff that they just made. Like I remember when Google Earth came out, and there was like no real reason to have it or to exist, because it wasn't like you were using it to navigate, but like you could just zoom in anywhere and see like cool. You're like, oh my gosh, I can see what the other side of the world looks like. I can just like
zoom in any mirror, any window.
Yeah, we'll zoom
any shower.
It wasn't Street View yet. It was like just the set.
They weren't blurring the faces or license plates.
Yeah. But that was like Jamboard was like a really cool thing they did.
Jamboard, not familiar.
Oh yeah, it was just like you could sort of just write on it and like share it with a bunch of other people, like a group like a group whiteboard that was like digital, and then it would like email to the people out.
I love whiteboarding.
But it was like free. They just made it, or like even like GChat. Like, do you remember?
Well, when it started,
GChat.
Well, those still exist, but no one really uses it.
I think they closed it down, didn't they?
No. Oh, they like shifted it around. It was like GChat, like, but then through the email, and then you have to go to like a different place, and
yeah, it was like
something. Just shifted it around.
It something else.
Well, I still GChat. I have my friends at GChat, my friends that I Messenger. I have friends at text. I have friends at Discord. I have friends at Slack, and no AIM.
No AIM friends. Oh, you're messing up.
And I talked to friends of 4 to 5 different.
That's funny. Fun. Yeah, we used to have a really good GChat. Like I think it was me, you, and Corey for like years.
And then you just like all caps, Corey.
Yeah, but they would just like try cool stuff, I guess, and it wouldn't always serve a purpose, and it wouldn't always make money at all. But they were just like, hey, this is a cool thing.
That's true. It definitely felt like it was more, for the good of humanity. Like, we're going to acquire people, we're going to buy up all these companies. Google bought dozens, hundreds of companies. Yeah. Who even knows? Apparently, DoubleClick is the greatest acquisition of all time.
DoubleClick?
Yeah, like the greatest of all time. Like billions of dollars return. But it wasn't all capitalist. It's like you're saying. Sometimes they took
risks for innovation, for the sake of innovation, and not for the sake of profit.
It doesn't feel like that's happening.
They don't do that anymore. They've, in fact, in the past like 2 years, they've killed most of the stuff that they were doing like that.
Like Google Sheep.
I mean, we're there. It is cool that they still have Google Sheets and like.
I said Google Sheep.
Yeah, I know, but maybe think of Google Sheets.
Okay, well, Sheets aren't that bad.
It is cool that they still have that, but I meant, what if they like get rid of that?
That'd be a bummer. I mean, they're getting rid of all the
Get rid of the podcast.
the
Podcast is gone.
What?
Yeah.
Man, GVP, like, the functionality and the record. Well, the functionality, I guess, is there, but, eliminating call tracking, it's like, oh my God, like, why?
I mean, and I think the thing that was the most annoying is like the force changes that people didn't want. Like they forced like GA4 on everyone, and like no one wanted it.
Still, what's so sad about that is everyone's like, I still don't like it. And
Yeah.
most of the time you get used to it, like different interface.
I still do not like it.
There isn't a single person that's like, I got used to it. Like everyone's like, they're so resistant
Yeah.
as it for a reason.
I'm just like, hey, I would like to see the traffic coming in from the source to these pages.
And it's like, why don't you look at all with it? Why don't you use filters? Why don't you do a customer report? Why don't you look at them all at once? Yeah, I'll be showing people, and I go, I'm gonna be honest, I'm just gonna go Search Console. So the semi-purpose.
What hasn't changed though is Search Console. It's like, it's
you've heard it here, and
Search
then it's gonna
Console.
change tomorrow.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the good old webmasters tools, as they called it.
So was there like kind of still sort of an emerging like search option back then? Like, the Google obsession started well over a decade ago. Bing was actually somewhat, I would be in Bing. I think
Bing had a bigger share, it almost seemed.
it was definitely over 10%.
It seems like it was bigger than what it is now.
Yeah, I think so too.
Maybe it was just like the novelty of it, and they were still making advertisements.
But I used to have way more conversations about like, okay, I'm ranking art at Google, but how am I ranking on Bing? I'd be like, let me look.
Conversations of how am I ranking on Yahoo?
Yeah.
Like I do remember that happening. I'm not even. Does Yahoo even have a search anymore?
I think it's the same as Bing.
Yeah, are they the same company?
Yeah.
Did Bing acquire? Did Microsoft acquire Yahoo?
One of the two. I think even if they're separate companies, it's my understanding that they like just have the same algorithm.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Man, to think that was like the one. I think the biggest search engine at the time was Yahoo, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Before like
those amazing commercials with the cowboy that was a lasso.
Everyone became millionaires off of Yahoo stuff.
Yeah, was that the same guy that did like that salsa?
Picante?
Yeah, pace. It was like the pace.
Where do you get
the pace salsa
from? New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, people were really like worried about where they bought their salsa back then. It's like, you want the sissy New York salsa?
You got to get it from Lubbock, Texas.
I guess. I mean, Hatch is where you get your salsa from, all right? Hatch, New Mexico. That's the place. They never advertised that.
So there really wasn't like much else of another, like every once in a while now, oh yeah, DuckDuckGo, it's going to be great. And it's like,
I actually use DuckDuckGo from time to time, and I like it. It's not bad.
Yeah, no ads ever.
It has way less ads, but you can't really use it for like local or anything like that, or to find a place.
Like, I love GBP. Can you still pull on the Google reviews that are manipulated and paid for, please?
I mean, I think that Google gets a lot of use out of local search in general, like just to find things. And so if you really can't compete with that, it's like, what are you going to do,
Well, I imagine DuckDuckGo is good for more, informational, more like the peace of mind that your data's not being sold. I guess, do you go there to find local services?
No, I only go there to log into the UCF message board.
You go there and you're like, is QAnon really real?
Yeah.
Was it real?
Is it? I have questions about the storm. I want to know. No, I use it like, I think a part of me is just so put off by the amount of ads on Google now that it's just almost unbearable as someone who does like organic search. And it's probably more unbearable for me than it is for someone that doesn't work in SEO and like doesn't give a shit. But for me, I'm just like, I don't want any more ads.
Well, I mean, I have an absolute extreme bias, because if I do a search not related to the industries we serve, let's say I was looking for like, I don't know, a dog groomer.
Yeah.
And then the first couple LSAs were there, I'd be like, look at them and their sneaky ways of having been the top two and their SEO company that's doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
Paying for it.
Yeah, like I'm just like, I don't like what they're doing.
I've never once clicked on an LSA or an ad but
I've clicked on it.
knowingly done it.
People pay money when I message it too.
I meant as like as a searcher doing my own search for something.
no.
Right. I may have clicked on it and just didn't know because it's hard to tell sometimes anymore. So
You just click on it and you message him and you say, "Have fun disputing this."
just run through those budgets. Just click a bunch of it. But yeah, I just hate the ads still, even to this day. And I don't know. It sucks. So that's why I use DuckDuckGo, because I just got fed up with it. But I still mostly use Google because it's Google.
So what's the secret DuckDuckGo algorithm?
It's the same as Bing. They just don't sell the data. It's the same as Bing and Yahoo.
You have to say like puns or like, I've heard it's quackery.
Oh, DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Oh man. I don't know. Yeah. So back to SEO. It's a frustrating job a lot of times.
Wow, really came full circle there.
You get burnt out quite a bit, and then occasionally things go really well, and then you don't feel burnt out. Then it's really exciting.
We're like the times where you haven't really done that much in a bit for a particular website, and then it jumps up to like the top 3, and you're like, oh, just stay there.
That part is it can be very exciting at times when it's successful, especially if it's like nationally successful like that.
Oh, for sure.
That's really cool. I remember working at that rehab company, and that was such a weird industry because the government made Google put the government website for suicide prevention.
Oh yeah,
one and Google across the board.
So it's like .gov, Amy Winehouse .gov.
Shirts of Amy Winehouse for sale. But something happened. Google did some weird algorithm update, and it put our website number 1 for everything.
And you felt
in
it
the country
immediately.
And it was an hour, not even an hour later. It was 30 minutes later, the phone rang crashed. Because there were so many phone calls coming in, we couldn't receive any more phone calls, and then it crashed the lines.
The .govs are like, "How did you do? You took our link."
And it was any search that you did related to rehab or
So it was just an anomaly. You never really found out what it was.
And they changed it. It lasted that way for about a week, and then they changed it back. But it was
it was like a year's worth of business.
Everywhere in the country that you searched it, it was number 1 for rehab.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've never seen that ever happen again like that. And then Google changed it back, and they put what was so weird about that is even if you searched your brand name, but you were searching for something rehab, they still put the government website first. So you couldn't even get to your own brand. Number 1, ranked number 1 in Google. So I've never seen an issue like that before.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another situation. I think I was doing a search the other day, with those really sticky results that Google obviously places there intentionally. And I was doing random search. This is what we do every day, but it was what do I do if I suspect my husband of murdering someone? And then the number 1 result was domestic violence hotline. And I was I could say that.
I'm just checking out. Just seeing what sounds like.
Yeah, he's not suspecting murdering me. I just think he's killed someone else.
You have to specify that in the search.
Yeah.
Or it'd be just so you know, not killing me, killing another person.
You're killing me.
Yeah. That's wild. I mean, you're on some sort of list right now for sure.
Oh, that's why we did it on someone else's computer.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So it's just been a wild ride. I don't even think I remember all of it anymore at this point. Because I just
Let's remember some of it.
I've worked on so many campaigns at so many different sites. I mean, I got a different job about every 2.5 years for a long time. And so when you do that, you get to work on a lot of different things, which that part's cool. But it's just I don't even remember all of them. All the algorithm changes that
it's a blur. You've had so many SEO partners; they're all a blur.
It is a blur. Yeah, I've worked on large teams, small teams. Whatever. It's just been a lot. Yeah, I mean, what is the theme of this podcast? You might be wondering.
What was the goal when we started doing this? And then Paul says we should do an SEO podcast. And he probably asked me 4 times, and I said I don't want to do that. I'm not interested. I have no reason to believe that I would ever want to do a podcast.
I think it did take about 3 months
to convince me.
Yeah,
uh, I push back on a lot of things, and that might be spot on.
And then I think I talked you into doing it, and it was like payment for something. I was like, oh, okay, just do the podcast with me. And
You're like, I'll bring you a beer.
it was something. I was like, I did something for you, like maybe I think it was SEO related, or like I helped you guys with something, and I was like, just do the podcast for me or whatever.
I'm like, damn, I'll leave it.
And they're like, okay, whatever.
They're like, oh, it's like pretty fun.
Yeah. And then it turned successful. So
Yeah.
and then we didn't do it for a while, and now we're here. We're at
Yeah. So
Passion Project.
So cheers to another, let's say, 85 or so podcasts.
Yeah.
4-year hiatus, painstaking 15 episodes, and then to 100 more.
And then we never released the secret first episode ever.
Wait, did you actually have it?
No, I do have it. Yeah.
It's on a microfiche.
I think the computer I have it on is broken now. So,
Oh, what a shame.
so we never will hear it.
You remember what's bad? It's like, I don't think that's what.
They were pretty bad at the beginning.
It's not like we've done like public speaking or webinars or some crap before that.
No, this is it. I wouldn't even say this is good public speaking.
This is
just talking about
technically
SEO. Yeah,
yeah, it's technically public speaking.
it's very. Sometimes it's highly technical. I guess maybe not really.
Well, shout out to my mom who says that. Yeah, she goes every once in a while, and I just want to hear what you're up to. Tune into the podcast. So yeah, thanks for listening. Yeah, it's a good time to reflect and say thanks, Mom. Thanks to I don't know if my dad ever listened to it, but my mom has.
I feel like your mom knows me now, and I don't know your mom.
I think, yeah, my mom knows you more than she knows herself.
More than I know myself. Whoa.
Shout out to Jason Higgins. I gotta say that one. He's listened to quite a few episodes. He likes taking screenshots and sending them to me. And
oh, it's funny.
I'm not supposed to say people's full names on here. That's fine.
It's okay. We'll bleep it out.
That's all right. And let's say this is one I'm listening to. It'll be SEO Horror Stories, Halloween Spooky Fest. What's the scariest SEO? Best scariest SEO stories that you ever have, and they are actually, some of them are actually scarier than most horror movies that are out nowadays.
It has been a fun podcasting run. We have had some really good episodes in there, for sure. We've had some really fun ones with a lot of really good guests in the past. Jason Bonod, I do remember. Yeah, that guy was cool.
Frankly, like I'd say, any guest I can think of has been very enjoyable to talk to. I can't think of it.
I can think of one or two that
I can think anyone that maybe did a
wish we had
self-promotion.
Yeah, but the vast majority of them, I think, were really good. Like there was just a good conversation, and there was good people to talk to.
So that's us appreciating our guests. Anyone that's ever been on here, down the list right now. But just know if you weren't down the list and you saw with special guests, that you are special to me.
Oh,
and I'm glad that you were a guest.
And soon to be more special guests, because that's what we're going to do for the rest of this year.
That's what I'd like to do. Well, speaking of guests, I think the second part of this is that we will have some guests.
We will.
That are
very soon.
That are here. Some of them
on this episode. We will have
the majority don't know they're guests yet,
but they will find out and accept our invitation to be guests.
Yeah, they will.
Probably very soon,
graciously.
Yeah.
The first guest that we have at this time, the first of many, but probably just the best guest, Chase Williams.
It's glad to be back on this podcast.
Oh yeah, I remember we did have you on.
What's funny is you did, but it was never released to the public.
I think it was so bad.
Is that episode 1?
No, it was. And I remember we were recording and it wasn't good. And then Paul, you're like, I can't take time to do this.
It was really, I think it was really scatterbrained.
Well, at least you're honest. And you said straight.
Yeah.
We're glad to be back though, for sure.
We did do one with Corey as well that didn't get published. Because Corey was legitimately the worst guest that I've ever had on the podcast.
That's nice. There was too much insider information and too many SEO secrets.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
You know someone too well.
He started giving the names of like all the overseas devs that we use.
Yeah, I learned to release the Mark on Market secret sauce.
Yeah. So we were talking today about, we've been doing SEO for over a decade now and how it's affected our lives and changed.
Mostly for the better?
Okay. For the better? Yeah. I mean, so how has it changed? I mean, you started a whole agency around it, so clearly it's changed your life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, Ryan's always been the SEO guru. Like growing up, and I remember starting my career and growing up, SEO was not easy, but now it's just, there's so many more tactics and, You need more creativity. You can't just put a bunch of white text on a page like the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days when it was.
I didn't even experience those good old days, the keyword cloaking days.
Yeah. Well, I remember starting the agency. We I don't want to say we did like black hat stuff, but we definitely did. Yeah, we did.
We're just like, how do we get results as quickly as possible? Like, let's just get the best links and just put a bunch of keywords on it.
I mean, as someone that worked with Ryan on things, we were definitely doing black hat stuff. So,
well, we were collaborating during the beginning of Market My Market starting anyway. So any tactics, we would have shared those tactics. I would have done it in Market My Market. You would have done it at
the Humans
at law for 18 places that you worked at. So
yeah.
And what's crazy now is I remember when we first started doing this, like he mentioned SEO and people's eyes would kind of like glaze over and they never heard it before. And now it's like there's so much more competition. There's so many more people that do SEO, that focus on digital marketing. Like I remember trying to get a job and being like, 12, 13 years ago, and they'd be like, hey, you need 10 years experience of SEO and Facebook ads. You wouldn't even want 10 years of experience. I'm like SEO back then. These things, it's not applicable at all. And now it's a way different story.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that kind of evolve.
I think it's cool to see it become legitimized as a career in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bad because there's a lot more competition.
Do you feel validated?
Well, yeah, it is legit. Like, it's becoming less and less difficult to explain to my parents what I do, right? Because there's widespread adoption of this.
The best way I can explain that part is it evolved from you work at Google to you work with Google.
So for a long time, I just had to say I fix phones to my parents, right? I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, I fix phones. But they kind of understand it now because they use it, like they use Google on an everyday basis, so they sort of get it.
And SEO's not dead, I guess.
It hasn't dead yet.
You don't sound convinced. Well, any day now.
Yeah, any day it's gonna.
What's next though? Like, how are you gonna like
paid ads aren't dead.
Oh, GEO, generative engine optimization.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The future of it right there.
So they say.
Yeah. I mean, so how's your experience been building an SEO agency?
Yeah, what's the highlights? What's the highlight? The low point?
Yeah, the worst thing that's happened.
What's the worst thing that happened in general?
In my life, the worst things happen. We have this employee. Her name is Maya.
That's the worst thing that's happened?
No, she's sitting next to us at the table right now as we're recording. I think the worst part about it is just like putting a lot of faith into people and then having to fire them.
Oh, that's a really non-SEO related answer.
Well, they're really SEO people.
The worst part of it is picking the wrong people.
Yeah,
I mean, fair. Yeah, picking the wrong people and just the setbacks and that, and just like it's just hard to. You don't want to fire anybody ever. I think that's the hardest part. I think.
Yeah.
And then the easiest, or I guess the most gratifying, is just seeing the growth.
Yeah.
Seeing how the company's evolved over the years, and like even one of my best buddies like become the CEO of our company and absolutely kill it and continue to be like one of the best in the biz. And I love seeing that.
I mean, it has grown.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it has grown a tremendous amount. And so I've seen you guys from afar, obviously. And I remember, I think
you're not that far. You're like right there.
But I remember when it was a very small amount of clients, right?
Like one,
like I think like two. You guys just as it started, you were like, we're doing it.
We had a pest control company, and
that was the first client.
And we had a bar, I think. Right?
They were like 2 years apart.
That sounds funny touch.
And then home modeling in Chicago.
Yeah. And then I remember that whole kick that you guys got on with like gems for a little bit.
You remember?
That was maybe the worst part about Whistling.
When we actually tried to refer leads to you and Andrew?
Yeah, well, I tried to hire Andrew, but Andrew didn't do anything. Was the problem.
Remember like that we were getting these business leads and they were just like, it
was unreal.
And we had the idea like, all right, let's give it to Paul, and Paul will work with Andrew, they'll close.
Yeah. Well, what was crazy is I was really into CrossFit and it wasn't a huge thing yet. And I was like, hey, there's a big market here. If we just become like a CrossFit marketing company.
True.
Yeah. And so you'd have people like CrossFit, leaving like CrossFit marketing. We would be number one, number two, and then it kind of toppled over to fitness marketing.
Yeah.
So we would get like 2 or 3 leads a day.
I think it was more.
It was wild.
Yeah.
But then one day.
All right, it's a Jason Ryan show.
Yeah, Jason Ryan show. One day we got a cease and desist letter from CrossFit, and they said you have to remove the name CrossFit from your landing pages.
House lawyer. We ranked number 1 on Google for CrossFit mark.
I do remember this now. Yes, I do. Yeah.
And it was just like a killer blow. And we're like, I guess we can't fight this.
I had a friend that did affiliate marketing that had a very similar situation, and it was for Beachbody. And so he made all of his money from like the Beachbody brand, but his website outranked Beachbody. And he got the same exact thing. And really get, like, what are you doing?
Tony Beachbody?
So that was Beachbody? Who's the Beachbody guy?
Yeah. So
Tony Perkins?
Tony Perkins.
Body.
By the way, just canceled. Yeah.
That's too strong.
That's such a dark comedy. I love it. Like that character.
It's for kids.
Character is very
Your
good.
podcast just watching that movie.
I would just watch it. You know, nostalgia, a '90s nostalgia podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was a weird phase. But you know, the gym phase.
It was. That's a tough market to be in because it's. I feel like at least from our experience at the time 7 years ago, you get to 100 members and your marketing kind of is all referral based after that. You don't really need to your best marketing team is other people that are coming in every day and working.
Yeah, we just had it where they would get all the people they won. They're like, okay, you guys did it. Thanks. Like, you're done. Well, thanks for coming on, Chase.
Yeah, Chase.
Man, hopefully this doesn't get deleted and lost.
No, we're gonna publish this whether other people listen to it or not.
Everyone actually believes that you were on a podcast.
All right, my first podcast. I loved it.
Hey, so where can people get a hold of you? I'm just kidding.
You can call Paul's cell phone. It is
555-555.
Well, you only did the first 200 episodes of LMP, so you got to kind of have that under your belt.
This is my first SEO is Dead podcast, which is so fun. Thank you guys.
Second.
Well, this is like
First
public. It's going to go out.
Well, we'll see.
So they say. See how it goes. Don't lose this collaborative.
I am the editor.
Hey, I lose it during the editing process. We don't know what happened to it.
I don't know if I want to admit to being the editor. I don't know how well these are edited. I do my best.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
We have a really special guest.
Well, you can talk into them.
We have a guy who's a great salesman, who sells SEO.
Business development expert.
We have a CMO of business development. Hey, Tabano, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Thank you so much, Paul. So my name is Guido Tabano. I'm the CMO of Market My Market. And it is very nice to be here. I have actually a background, not even in agencies, but in the moving and storage sector for almost 20 years, which, in moving and storage, you have to wear a lot of different hats. Yeah, I think that there's two things. Paid is all about like just volume, but I think like good quality leads definitely come from people doing research today, no matter what section you're in. And just think of like your shopping behavior and stuff like that too. The clients like all of us deal with, you're not going to go, especially in medical, spend $40,000 on a procedure from like a paid ad. It's just not happening. I do think it works, for certain sectors, but SEO is never going to be dead. It's just going to sort of change. And I think, it's just a broad term to encompass a lot of different things like, the maps we do, the content we put out, whatever it is, all the stuff that's going. So yeah, it's alive.
So that's a good point there. And, we're elaborating that, I mentioned maybe like in the last conversation with Mr. Pace Williams that like SEO sometimes it's taboo. Sometimes people have been burned so much, you're like, don't even say SEO in consecutive order. When we pitch, these calls, you even have to say SEO.
Well, part of the proposal that we put together. So yeah,
that's it.
But I think
it's in the text of the proposal that we send out in the template.
But for GLA doesn't.
No. Yeah, they know. But here's what I always say. It's like there's no secret to good marketing, no matter what it is. It's just best practices and everything you do. When you try to cut corners on anything you do in life, something's gonna happen. It's no matter what you do. So when you do whatever best practices are there, no matter what it is, like you're going to do better. And that's kind of how I go into explaining like SEO and just sort of the different components.
So what advice would you give to someone trying to sell SEO?
Or do SEO?
No. We clearly, you already went down doing it.
Everyone knows what, their core competencies are in life. I think when you make mistakes, when you try, like you said, to cut corners and do things yourself, like, attorneys should not try to do SEO, be an attorney. Right. If you didn't go to school for writing, don't be a writer. Like, maybe you are good at it. Like,
So what you're saying is Rooney wasted his time trying to play football.
That's pretty much.
That's the whole point of that movie.
Right.
I mean, I actually completely believe that point that Rudy did waste his time.
Yeah.
100%.
I think that's right.
Kind of bogus.
And that's the one thing.
Couldn't debunk that either.
Yeah, it's the one thing in life you can't get back this time. So stick to what you're good at, no matter what it is. I'm good at talking to people and bullshitting, so I'll stick to that. And you know what? If you don't know an answer to something, like, go to somebody that does. Don't make it up. Like, that's
Okay.
pretty important.
We have Guido Tabano asks, what would you do on an SEO campaign? Answer, what the hell am I paying you for? But it's been a wild ride.
I did on drinks last night.
It's been a lot of fun.
Great. Us too. Thank you for having me. I'll see you at work tomorrow.
Every day.
All right.
It's all possible. Right? Please explain to me.
Okay.
I really don't know what's the canonical tag. I still don't know.
Yeah. Maya, what's the worst thing you've ever done in your life?
Jumping right in.
Yeah, we have another special guest because that's what this segment of the podcast is all about. So who do we have here?
Hello, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Maya, and I work on the business development side at Market by Market.
Do you know Guido?
I do know Guido very well. We spend a lot of time together.
Maya, you just go by Maya.
That's just just mine.
Sure.
And I think Guido is my number one person in my call log for the past 2 years. So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, there's two sides of it. So working with Guido, working with other people on the team, doing these proposals and audits. You've learned a lot of the biz dev, being around there, seeing how people react to different things, negotiating, going back and forth. But you also learn SEO. And so, like, you didn't really know SEO before, but now you know some of it. So what are your top 3 tips for SEO, for optimizing a website?
For someone new. Yeah.
Like, based off of all the conversations, what are, like, the focus? Like, what?
Going into this, I truthfully did not know much, of course, about SEO. So it was a big learning curve there. But, of course, it's something that even I use every day on Google. So learning that side of things is super interesting. My top 3 tips would be
Maya's top 3 tips.
get in there.
For a well-optimized,
Dun, dun, dun.
productive website.
Well, just the website, or can we go into the Google Maps section as well?
These are your tips.
So,
Yeah, I did.
let me tell us.
I did too.
For every business, what they should focus on. That is a keen revision. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Number 1, Google Maps. I think, especially
Calls like this.
Yeah. I'm the maps guy.
especially with the dentists that we work with often, that's a great way to drive in quality patients. So Google Maps for sure, number 1. We also see a lot of plagiarized content. So having that unique content on the website.
Okay.
And then lastly, I would say we also have seen a lot of foreign backlinks to websites that have been very interesting.
Setting up and all those backlinks.
Absolutely.
Let's get a little deeper. No, don't. But the thing that maps are so important, and we already know you know this. So what are since maps are so important, pull the data, 60-70% could come from GBP at any given time.
I think you pulled the data, actually.
You acknowledge the data. You
acknowledge that. Yeah, that's what it said.
What are the top 3 tips for a stunning share a local voice
Oh, okay.
on the map?
I really
ask you about
this is a lot of pressure right now. I can't really be put on the
it's like,
microscope.
the top 3 based off of, the conversations that we've had. What are some tips that you can?
So NAP, making sure that name, address, phone number is
You're
correct across all the boards.
That's perfect.
100% so far.
Okay. Next, content on the Google Business profile, posting to the Google Business profile, updating the services.
That's Paul. The way he's saying that is he's saying
No,
not top 3, but it is.
it counts though.
It counts.
I'm not way off.
You get credit for it.
Okay.
You'll get to redo. Yes, keep going.
Okay, redo. So I need 2 more. Okay.
That was top 10 though.
Also, being in a building with other lawyers or
Well, you said
citizens.
reviews as
Yeah.
Yeah, reviews. That is a really good one.
definitely.
Reviews are very important.
The uniqueness of the address, I would say it's top. Well, that's like a prerequisite almost.
Yeah. So it's that important that it's like you don't want to work with the English in this situation. So
Whose choice is that?
my choice. I got a lot of those clients.
That's great. That was great advice.
Thank you.
Well, Maya, thank you so much for being on. Really appreciate you being a guest on the show.
Paul, it was great to be
I'm
here.
Paul Warren. They know my last name.
Yeah, you said say it in every episode for the past 100 episodes. Yeah.
Okay, well, Paul Warren, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
Thank you for being on.
Thanks.
All right. Well,
It only took 70 years to record 100 episodes.
yeah. I think that's a better record than a lot of people listening because they probably don't have a podcast. So challenge you to do 100 episodes and see how long it takes.
Big Bang Theory record 100 episodes in a year.
Yeah. So with that, thank you so much for listening. I'm Paul Warren.
And I'm Ryan Klein.
And this has been another episode of SEO Dead and Other Lives.
Later.
Bye.